Hey everyone, welcome to Cry. I hope you're all doing amazing. And as promised, I just wanted to shoot a quick video to show you step by step how to customize ChatGPT to your needs and why I believe this is going to be crucially important next year. So this is not a public video. This is just sort of like me to you. It's an unlisted video here on YouTube, just for my own audience. And the reason I wanted to share this is because I've been geeking out on this, and I believe this is going to make a major difference in my end if you want to listen into your business as well, right? But now I assume, unless you've been living under a rock, we've all used ChatGPT, and it is impressive, right? Like, it's really awesome what you can do. But I also see that a lot of businesses don't actually use its potential. And the reason for that is oftentimes because it's just not as easy to get it to produce good results. If you've ever asked, for example, ChatGPT to do a certain thing for you, yes, it's amazing what it can do. Do you actually, if you just ask, hey, write me an email for this and this, or you got a social posting to do, or you want to write a sales copy or a new video ads or whatever, right? If you just ask that and you get, usually the answer is not as good. It's good for inspiration. That's what it's awesome for. It's good for inspiration. But typically, unless you get really good in prompting, like giving it the right instructions, it is not going to be good enough to just here's the ad and you can use it as is, or here's an email, here's how you can use it as is. But here's the cool thing. Recently, about a month ago or so, ChatGPT released something called Custom GPTs. And this, it sounds maybe complex, but it really isn't. This basically means that instead of having the regular ChatGPT, and by the way, you do need to have a paid subscription, it's like $20 per month. You need to have a paid subscription to ChatGPT, otherwise this won't work. But if you have that, and if you go to ChatGPT, you can go to Explore, right? And you can click here at the top, click on Create a GPT. And this means you can create a custom GPT for one specific task. And now here's how I am currently using it and how I believe it's going to have a major impact, right? In my business, there's all kinds of things that in theory, ChatGPT could do, but there's no way I can have one broad chat and have all these things done. For example, right? In my email, I might send out emails, right? But typically even a task like that can be broken down into smaller chunks, right? For example, it's what am I going to even write about? Like coming up with the idea. That's in a way like a specific task, right? And then writing the actual email. That's again, a specific task. And then also, for example, coming up with a good headline. That's like a specific task, right? Same thing if you are planning to, if you're active on social media and you want to post, on Twitter or X these days, right? It's coming up with the topics, right? Like then another one might be to actually write the tweets, right? And so forth. So in a lot of the things we do, it's like we have to break it down into smaller tasks. And what I currently believe is what I'm currently doing is for a lot of those smaller tasks, I'm building custom GPTs that can produce the outcome I want. So for example, it can produce to write emails with very limited input from me. It will always require input from me. There is a human back and forth there right now. But here's where I think it's so important, right? Let's say I'm just going to draw something out, right? Let's say you create this and I'll show you in a little bit what it actually looks like. Let's say you have this, let's just make it a box, right? It's almost Christmas. Let's say you have this custom GPT to, for example, come up with ideas, right? So this is like your idea list and you can get it to score. And this is like the top ideas to write about in this period of the year. And let's say you have a different GPT called, that is for, I'll just stick with emails, writing the email. And then maybe there's a different GPT that is for coming up with the title, right? And these are just examples, right? I just make this up right now. Currently, the way this will work is like you would create different GPTs. I'll show you again how that would work. You create different GPTs and like you chat with this one, you get a bunch of ideas, you take an idea, you put it in here, and then you get an email out, and then you copy that and copy paste that into this one, and you get also a title out, right? But what I believe is going to be the case is ChatGPT will start to work on AI agents, right? Currently, you can already have AI agents if you're like into coding, essentially, right? It's like for the real nerds amongst us, it's not as easy and also not as good. Currently, it's like ChatGPT is always input output, right? You would enter a chat, get a response, enter a chat, get a response. But once AI agents will come about and go more mainstream, you can give it a task, right? And rather than just giving an answer, it will actually think, hey, what are all the things that are needed to accomplish that task? Let's say it would say, hey, grow my audience to 100,000 followers, right? It would think, hey, what are all the things to do? And then for all those things, it will start to do that, right? And it will just ongoing work on that. Now, if you give an instruction like that, it is definitely not going to work. Like it is just not going to be good enough. So instead, what I believe is that in the business, it's going to be extremely valuable to create for all different kinds of processes that you already have in your business anyway, to create specific GPTs to help out with certain tasks, right? Because, for example, I'll show you mine. Like currently I'm working on one that can help me write emails, right? It will take time to improve it, to make it better over time so that I'm happy with the results. But over time, when I have all these different GPTs, I can string them together, right? Like I'm 100% convinced that GPT will create that option, right? Where I can just like plug in, having that knowledge to know, hey, if I tell this to the AI, to ChatGPT, this is going to be the outcome. And whether it's OpenAI or any of the other AI platforms that are out there, from a Gemini from Google that got released recently, and all the others, like it's the same thing, right? You still need to give it very specific instructions, right? So that's for the theory, but let's dive into how this actually works, right? So you go and create a new GPT. You can essentially, like the easiest way to create a GPT is just let ChatGPT build it, right? You can literally tell it, hey, I want this GPT to help me write emails, right? And give it some instructions and it will start building it. Or you go manually, you give it a name, for example, like email GPT, right? A description, but here's like what you would actually give it the instructions to do, right? Now, let me just open up like I've been testing out, you can see 1.2. I just made tweaks. This is my way of improving it, but this is my latest version of email GPT. It is definitely not good enough, right? It still needs improvement, but let me show you what I have done in terms of instructions. And that way it'll open your eyes into what's possible, or like how this actually works. So this is what I call email GPT. Just made that term up. Like I could have called it Wilco's email assistant. I don't care, right? And then here I give the exact instructions. This I only have to do once, and then it's inside this ChatGPT. From that point onwards, I can just chat with it, right? First of all, I tell it specifically what it needs to do, right? And I've been iterating. That's why this one is more specific. Your email GPT, your primary role is to assist in crafting high converting marketing copy to be sent as broadcast emails. Your response should be detailed, contextually relevant, and embody a blend of professionally and wit, right? I didn't write all of this. I used ChatGPT to write all this, obviously, because why not use it, right? But here's what I have put inside this. Can I just maximize this? Yes, makes it easier, right? First of all, I put some information about myself, right? Just so that it has context about who I am in case it can pick up things, right? I write details about the audience so that it knows this is who the audience of the emails is, right? Again, the more specific you are, typically, the better it'll be. And then I give it like the writing style. This is how I want the writing style to be, right? Like tone, conversational, and informal with a touch of humor. This is like how my style of the emails is, right? And I'll tell you how I wrote this, because and then I tell them like how to write emails, include a story-based approach, include a personal experience, explain complex concepts simply, promote engagement, and some other things as well. And here's a very key thing. I also said, hey, attached files, email examples show a couple of emails from the sender as a source of inspiration for style, write in a similar style, right? This is what is going to make a major difference. Right here, I actually created a TXT file. I should be able to open that up just a sec, where I've added a couple of emails that I already wrote in the past, like that I actually wrote myself, right? And by giving that as an example, ChatGPT can then know, hey, wait a second, this is what the email should look like. Let me write similar ones. The more I would add here, like right now, there's actually just a handful, but the more previous data you have, essentially, the better it would be. So this is a really good strategy. And I'm planning to go a little bit more in depth by also transcribing all my YouTube videos and just putting that here as well, so that it also has more knowledge about what I've done in the past, right? We can go as crazy as we want with this, right? But now that I have this, and I'm not saying this is perfect, right? But this is what I have come up with so far. Let me just show you how this will work. So now I would just enter a topic, right? Typically, and here's a quick tip, what I do is I do this with a voice note, right? I actually like to use a tool called Super Whisper. I like to use a tool called Super Whisper. This is just for Mac, but you don't have to use this. You can just type it out loud, but I just prefer to just do this in audio. And what I would do is I would just like speak to ChatGPT what I want to write about. Normally, I would talk for a few minutes to have some context and some information, some stories that ChatGPT can use. So right now, I'll just do a very short one. So I'm assuming the output is not going to be as good. Bear with me, just a quick example. I just want to send out a quick reminder to my audience to inspire them to start planning 2024, because we're almost at the end of 2023. And for me, it's always that big goals really inspire me to do big things. And yes, I might go outside my comfort zone, but looking back, it's always better than staying inside the comfort zone. So just a quick reminder, that's essentially it. Now, I'm not expecting this to be a good email at all because I didn't put anything in there. Usually I would go a little bit more in depth. I would have a little bit more what I want to tell. I will share some maybe a story that it can be used that can be used. So this is probably going to be rubbish. Quick example only. So here we go. Right. Is this a good email? I don't know. It's pretty good. I would say it's not bad. Like I would not get this from the regular ChatGPT. As you can see, it listens to my instructions. It said, hey, it gets people to reply, which is good for engagement as well. Yeah, there's obviously it's a pretty short email because there's not a lot of information in the information I shared. But as you can see, this took me like a minute or so to record, and this is what I have, right? And obviously over time, I will be iterating this because sometimes I won't get the response won't be good enough, and I start iterating. That's why I create different versions so I can make changes, see how the AI would reply differently. And yeah, lastly, as promised just before, I would also share how I even came up with like my voice is. So for that, I'm actually just going to open up a regular ChatGPT window. And what I'm going to do here, again, you need to have a paid subscription here. You can actually upload files. So I'm just going to upload my emails and I would just ask them to like, how would you describe the tone and style of these broadcast emails? Be specific, right? Bullet point list. It's now going to read that file. It's going to read the emails, right? So there you go. That's like an example of what I could then use in my custom GPT to essentially let ChatGPT know what my style is. I can just copy and paste this when I create my own custom GPT. So that's essentially it. Hope you find it useful. And if you do, by the way, hit reply on my email. That would be amazing. And so I know you actually watched this. And with that, hope you have an amazing day. Cheers. Bye bye.